Hey everyone, so I wanted to make this video for mainly two reasons. The first one is to help myself remember what I've been through and how far I've come, because we tend to forget the hardships that we've been through and kind of minimize all the work that we've put. And on the second hand, I want to make sure if there are any people out there who are currently facing what I faced 1 year, find the help that I found last year online. Yeah. How do I start? So it's the anniversary of my accident. Summarize it. My voice is already a little bit like shaky because first of all, I'm not used to have this kind of camera talks, and second, talking about it with such details and like having this memory of the day and the date, yeah, makes me emotional, I guess. So last year, exactly at this date, which is January 20, I was traveling with my boyfriend in Cabo Verde. And we were exactly hiking a volcano which is called Pico de Fogo. It's almost a 3,000 meter mountain. And we hired a guide, not because it was difficult or dangerous, but because we were not in our country and we wanted to make sure everything is okay. So everyone who knows me knows that I'm very adventurous. I love the mountains, I love the outdoors. That's what makes my heart tingle, but I've never ever been the person who would put herself in danger. Like, I've always been very serious about how I do these things. So yeah, around 5 a.m. we left well, uh, the place where we were sleeping, like the kind of a base camp, and we started our hike. We reached the summit. It was tough, but it was okay. And then afterwards we started hiking down. Now if you Google Pico de Fogo, you're gonna see all of these people sliding on their asses on lava, and it's an active volcano, so if you actually put your legs or hands deep inside the lava, it's gonna feel quite warm. And yeah, so you see that and you're like, whoa, that's really fun. It's almost like skiing. And the guide was telling us, yeah, it's people come here with skis and ski down. It's like a slope basically, and it's very, very steep. So as we were walking down, my boyfriend was ahead of me and he was jumping around. And I was taking it really slow because I never really liked that much the downhill, but I also felt I did not feel very safe. And really, it crossed my mind for a second, thinking to myself, I'm really happy I'm not in front of my boyfriend, because I could see how fast, like, the tiny little rocks in the lava were moving. And then I stood there, and last thing I remember, I was down on the ground. while that happened, the guide was not very far from me. My boyfriend was a little bit far ahead, and I heard like boom, a very strong sound, and I I didn't understand what happened. I just thought it was like my metal bottle, or it happened in a second, so I did not see the rock that actually had hit my leg. And then I just looked down, and I was like buried down inside the lava. And then I saw my leg, and it was literally like, I don't know how it managed to stay there, because I saw the blood, I saw the bone. It was literally this much outside of the leg, and it was fully like, I don't know how to describe it. It just looked like it was cut in half. And like, if I show you later my scar, you'll understand, like, there was literally this bit of muscle that was holding it together. When I looked, I did not think about anything but my parents. I don't know why they came into my head, and I thought that I lost my leg. That's the one memory that I will never be able to forget, is that I looked there and I just imagined myself in a wheelchair for the rest of my life. And I just screamed twice. I just screamed, and then I went in shock, like, just I didn't speak at all, and I did not know exactly what was happening. I was awake the whole time. I think I was shivering because of pain, but I did not notice it then. But for the next days, I was having extreme pain in my like muscles here. So yeah, and then I know I'm describing this with a lot of depth, but it actually helps me to talk about it, surprisingly. So after that, it was yeah, I'm gonna skip some details, but it was really a hassle. Like, we sat there, my boyfriend was in shock, we didn't know what to do, and luckily, like really luckily, we had a guide, because we decided literally a few hours before the hike to take a guide. And so I was just sat there. There was no helicopter, there was no way they could take me down, except like by feet, obviously. And yeah, like, every single movement, like, if you try to straighten my leg, which was completely fucked, there was just no way to do it. And so we sat there, we called like the people from the camp down there, and they said that they have to take me down from where we are, and those people will come with a stretcher until I reach the camp, which was like at least 4 hours down. So they luckily there were a few more guides coming, and one of them had a life bag, so they put me in there, and like 4 people carried me, and it was horrible. It was like, I can't say it was the worst time of my life, because the next days were all challenging. Next days, months, weeks and months were challenging, all in different ways. But right then, I just did not know what was gonna happen with my leg. I did not even know if I was gonna make it, because obviously, like, when the bone is broken and shattered that much, it's moving inside, and as it moves, it could touch arteries. It could make me bleed to death, you know. So what they did is that they took my backpack and they strapped it on my leg to decrease the bleeding, and they started taking me down, and it was so painful, because it was a very steep and rocky terrain, and suddenly they started running, and I was screaming like, please don't run, please fix me, please, like, I can't stand this. It was just a nightmare. And then I had just didn't know. I just hear bullets, and what was actually happening is I learned this weeks later from my boyfriend, is that more rocks were coming down, and we could actually have all died. And my boyfriend's biggest trauma is that, just like when I saw my leg for that moment, for him it was just the thought that these people who were helping us will just run for their lives and leave me there. Yeah, so just short story long, we managed to meet the other guys with the stretcher, and then they continued down to a car, and then from that car we drove to the camp, and then in the camp we were waiting for an ambulance. That ambulance then had to drive 2 hours down to the closest little tiny hospital, and by then, like, cleaning the wounds made me so much in pain that it just flew onto my body, and I almost lost conscious, like I couldn't take it anymore. And then when we reached the hospital, the pain was so immense that I was crying and begging them, like, please put me to sleep. I don't wanna know anything. Do what you wanna do, just like put me to sleep. And then when they saw like what happened, they're like, there is no way we can do anything about this here. All we can do is clean the wound and like keep you there. And then they did not inject me with any like tetanus shots. I was very lucky to escape an infection. They just gave me normal. Guys, I don't want to worry you, but I was climbing a volcano in Cabo Verde, and I had a rock fall on me, and it broke my leg, my skin, everything, double. Why I'm saying this just makes me feel a bit better to know that I'm not alone. But yeah, it's so painful. Yeah, it was really like a nightmare to move, like every time from a stretcher to a bed to another bed to like even lift yourself to do the business, you know. It was just out of another world. Yeah. And then yeah, it was very difficult. It took 2 days and a half to transfer me to another hospital in Praia, the capital of Cabo Verde. And there, as soon as I reached, the doctor was like, you have to go into the OR right now, or this leg is not gonna make it. So I went in. I don't even know how long it took, probably a few hours. And then I remember waking up in the post-operation room. I did not have my phone. I did not have any way to contact my boyfriend. I was literally stuck there for at least 2 days, 2 nights, and I was having so much pain, like everywhere, in my back and in my feet, because I couldn't move. They did not even have like the bed couldn't change position, you know, because it was just like it was supposed to be a temporary post-operation room, but they kept telling me they did not have any room for me. So I was just there, and of course it's forbidden for anyone to visit any patient there. So the other patients kept coming in and out, and I was the only one there. I really want to skip this part because I'd be saying very mean things, but I did not have a very pleasant experience there. The nurses, some of them were just so mean to me. It was just, nobody spoke any language I could understand, and it was just, I was kept there with barely any food and water, and by the time I managed to get back to Switzerland, I was already down by 4 kilos, and that was just like dehydration, and so then in Switzerland, the experience, I'm so grateful, like really grateful to have had that care. Asking myself, like, for the people who did not have any better choices or chances, I feel very grateful, and like with how bad it was, I was very lucky. I was literally given a second chance, and I couldn't wish for better care afterwards. So I was admitted to the hospital in Switzerland, and in total I was there for a month, like combining the other 2 stays in Cabo Verde. And I'm gonna add like some pictures to this video as I talk, but the hospital stay was a little bit intense. Like, when I reached Switzerland, the doctors could not even tell me if I was gonna keep my leg, and every single doctor who visited me in my room kept telling me, we don't even know if we can treat you here, and we don't even know like what we need to do, and they were all waiting for this one specific specialist that was basically gonna decide what happens next for my leg. And they kept monitoring me for infections, because if I got an infection, that would increase the chances to amputate my leg, or like, I don't know, I have no clue what was going on, and it was just sleepless insomnia, thinking like, am I gonna keep my leg? I keep asking them, and they say, we will do what's best, like we will try our best to save your leg and to help you recover. So after I met the specialist, he decided like to have a very big surgery, where he actually at first did not even know if he was gonna fix my bone, because it was just like the trauma was so big. It was the only time, like the first time we were able to identify the actual trauma. So it was an open type 3A fracture, which means that there was a multiple fracture in the bone, and there was a massive soft tissue damage, and with a very big damage. Like the scar is 15 by 15 centimeter big, and by then they were not even able to see like beyond. They weren't able to see how bad the trauma is unless they take me inside of the operation room. So every time I ask, they're like, we will discover the real damage when you go to the OR. The horizon type A, one of the complications could be non-bone healing, non-union, and if you get an infection, that would make it turn into a type B or C, and eventually even get an amputation. So basically, it was a very, very, very tough one. I go into the OR, then I woke up, and they told me that it went very well. They put a vac machine, like a big sponge on my wound to cover it, prevent infection, and to help it heal. So I was on that machine for almost 2 weeks, and They had to do small operations every 3 or 4 days to clean the wound, to change the sponge and to check the status. And then the final operation was to take some skin from a split thickness skin graft from my thigh to cover that wound because yeah, the skin cannot stretch that big. Yeah, so that was the experience in the hospital. Oy. I have a cat here and she wants attention. After when I was in the hospital, my feelings were a mix. Like there were days where I felt very lonely and scared and sad. But I also felt safe, kind like I've had, I don't know, like if any of you went through a similar experience, although not an accident, but like being in a hospital for a long time, you know, like your body is suffering through something, and every little problem creates another problem. So for example, because I was lying down for almost 9 days straight in a bed, I ended up having like bed sores, and they were actually very bad. So they went in so far up to type 3, which even means today they are not fully healed. Like my skin in my food is very, very sensitive. It got so bloody, you know, like when you have blisters. This was like a type 3 blister, so it was actually red and bloody, and apparently it could reach up to the bone. So there were little problems that were creating themselves as an outcome of the accident and being in the hospital, like the morphine that I was being given, the nerve blockages that made me like constipated. I started bleeding. My stomach was hurting. I was vomiting sometimes, um, and then I did not get my periods before because of the stress. It was very, very weird and strange and extreme. Especially that I've never been hospitalized and I've never been that sick in my whole life. So to me, it was a whole experience to have to go through radiations, CT scans, injections, all of those infusions, transfusions, appointments, neurological tests, because also what was really, really bad with my accident is on top of that soft tissue trauma and the broken bone, I also was unlucky to have a nerve damage in my peroneal nerve. So when I reached the hospital, I could not move a single toe in my right foot, and that was what made it even harder. And they kept telling me they don't know what's gonna happen, like and in the end they decided to do an MRI to see what was like in there, and they saw that the nerve was crushed but it was not fully cut, which means it can potentially recover 10%, 20%, 100%, they don't know, but yeah, they can't promise anything. I'm gonna talk about the outcome of all of this at the end of this video, because I wanted to start with telling like what happened and little details that I tend to forget. Yeah, and it changed me. It really, really changed me. And so during the hospital stay, it was so difficult to even like move from sleeping to sitting position. I felt like a baby, you know. But what helped me a lot then is that my boyfriend and my friends, some of my friends were literally visiting me every day. That made me feel less alone, and everyone was bringing me a little thing. Like I had a drawer and I had so many snacks in there, and that that was a little detail that I will never forget, because I don't know what was happening in my body. I think it was like burning calories up to the roof, that I was getting so hungry around midnight, sometimes 2 a.m. I was not sleeping for a month. I think the only times I really slept were when I went into the OR. Like those 4 hours of operations were where I got the best sleep of my life, you know. So yeah, it was impossible to sleep, and I was just snacking. Yeah, my routine was very solid. Like at 6:30 a.m., I know I would get my huge pack of pills, my breakfast, and then my boyfriend's mom brought me this very nice mirror, and that was part of my routine. So I would just like sit in that big chair. Sometimes I would stay in bed, and then I would just like, I asked my boyfriend to bring me like my facial creams, whatever, things that I actually did not really do in like my normal life, but I was just, because it was so long to stay there, like you literally had nothing to do for a whole day, and I couldn't do intense things. Like my brain could not function in like, I couldn't, let's say, learn a language, although I tried. I couldn't do difficult things. So my brain was just looking for easy distractions. And my solid routine was that I sit there, I put my creams, take care of my nails, things that I never do. And then I wait for the doctor's visit. And then sometimes some person visits me for lunchtime. Sometimes I just like sit there and wait for lunchtime. I was listening to positive podcasts. Yeah, like also the evenings were, I mean, the part between dinner and sleeping time was kind of the best, because it's then when I had the most visits. I had people like bring me, uh, come to the hospital with games, and we played a little bit. So for that I was grateful, because although like with this whole insecurity and uncertainty, there were little positive things that kept me going. Although sometimes I just, when I'm alone in that room, I burst into tears, because I simply don't know if I was gonna make it, and if I was gonna stand strong, and if I could stay alone. Like after 9 p.m., when everything goes dark and everyone leaves, that was the toughest part for me.
So, what's the fortune cookie? No, turn it around.
I need to learn German. Oh, there is. You are a positive influence.
Nice.
I started watching The Good Doctor because, well, luckily enough, I have friends who brought me a PlayStation and I could watch Netflix. Again, I'm very grateful. It sounds luxurious now that I think about it, but yeah. So I started watching shows which had surgeries, and yeah, that kind of like helped me move on and see things in different ways. And yeah.
Look in the camera when you're dancing.
When I left the hospital, I was still bound to a lot of other visits, because I had a very bloody skin here. So if any of you ever had this split thickness, I forget now what's happening. Skin grafting, yeah. You would know that the donor zone is more sensitive than the actual like zone you have to cover. So I had to go 3 times a week just to change the bandages in the hospital, and that was, oh my god, it was so painful. I even got an infection at some point. It was supposed to heal in 2 or 3 weeks. It took more than a month. It was so bloody painful. And until today it could, like, if there is friction, it could still have blisters in there. But yeah, so and then I was put on crutches for almost 4 months, for 4 months actually. And I was having endless x-rays and checkups, physiotherapy, up to December last year, so not so long ago. And yeah, my case is still open. I'll quickly talk about my feelings, especially after I left the hospital, and then I'll just summarize like where I'm at today. I'll do a scar reveal, and I'll talk about the next steps. Well, first of all, what helped me, like how I got better, and what I plan to continue to do, and little advice. Yeah, I can talk for hours about this. It's just that most of the time when someone asks me how I'm doing, I just want to summarize it. I don't want to to take so long of anyone's time to talk about something that's mostly affecting me. So but today it's a video. You can just fast forward if you want. You can watch it if you like. I do this for myself and for people who need to see this, who've been through something similar. Yeah, to give a perspective and some hope. So all right, where do we start? Yeah, I want to talk about the after hospital experience, because for me that was a very strange period. Most of the time people would think that being in the hospital is horrible and you really want to go back to your place in your house, right? But for me that was quite challenging actually. So the first time I got home, I thought that I would be happy, but I felt even more lonely. It was a very mixed feelings. Luckily for me, I had my mom. She does not live here, so she had to travel. We had to bring her in, and she could only stay for 2 months. So during that time, she helped me a lot. Like if my mom was not there, I don't know what I could have done, and for that, I'm really grateful. Like I can't be more grateful to have a mom and to have a mom like that, really. I don't think anyone could give the love of a mom. Like no one could do that. No one, not even yourself, can take care of yourself like your mom. When at least my mom. Um so in the hospital it was easy. It was just me lying down on a bed and waiting for nurses and just taking orders, right? But when I was at home, it suddenly felt like I had to do all the work. I had to remember my pills, I had to inject myself, I had to sit there with my own feelings and have no reassurance. So Dr. Google was all I got, and that's not helpful. The other point of this is that when you are in the hospital, people automatically think of you, you know, like you are a hospital person, you are a victim. But as soon as you get home, you are suddenly in limbo. You're still sick, probably as sick, probably even worse. Your heart is breaking, but people can't see that because you're home. You're back to your home, and now you suddenly have to adjust to a new routine. You have to live the normal life. You have to go outside. You have to do things like an adult being, right? And that was the most difficult part of my whole recovery journey, is when I was transitioning from this victim lying on a hospital bed to this victim in her own house not being able to do any single thing by herself. Like I couldn't even stand to go and pee. That was just a tremendous effort. Like I couldn't change position very easily. I couldn't even grab myself a glass of water. I couldn't even stand and grab a glass of water. I couldn't do anything. So I had to, like, my mom was there, like I said, but I had to think of ways, creative ways I could like transport things with my crutches. But of course, like, I needed to, for example, fill a bottle, throw it into a bag, walk very slowly, and then sit and then drink. And imagine having to do that by yourself all the time. So yeah, and then the loneliness is a whole other thing. It's a whole other level. Like some days were a little bit better, other days were just like I was spiraling, like, why did this happen? Why me? Am I ever gonna walk again? Am I ever gonna do the things I love again? And then you can't just keep telling people the same things over and over again because it's too much to handle, right? It took me, I think, 3, 4, maybe even 5 solid months of, I wouldn't say depression, but it was really tough. I think I developed PTSD. I've never been really diagnosed, but I knew it was that because I had, like, even today, if I think specifically on the accident day, it still gives me something, right? But back then, every time I thought about it, like, I just go, everything goes into a blur and my heart starts shaking. And I even had major panic attacks every time I went outside and was surrounded by many people. So I would just run away to the toilet and just cry, lock myself there and it just cry. This happened a few times. Sometimes I was seen, sometimes it was hidden. But yeah, it was really, really, really tough. Like you feel so lonely and it's a big trauma. It's almost strange talking about it because I've come so far now that I'm like, wow, how did I handle that? Like breaking a bone itself is a trauma, right? Like breaking your tibia is a trauma on its own, but breaking it with that much intensity is something that I literally scarred me for life. Like I have a very beautiful scar and the outcome is still there, but even like emotionally I think there will always be a memory of it. So yeah, I felt after, like, in that period where I was recovering, I felt very withdrawn, like from everything, from my friends. I felt like I didn't want to attend social gatherings. I didn't want to talk. I felt empty. Like I was not sad or happy. I was just empty, and that was something that people couldn't understand. So I just like retreated myself. I kind of isolated myself. And yeah, it was not the easiest. I'm laughing because my cat is just doing very stupid things next to me. Yeah. So I also started noticing things that I never thought about, like how people could wiggle their toes very easily, how they can change positions, how they can, yeah, like they can move very quickly, very freely, like without pain. I was looking at calves, which is something I never did before. It really, really affected me in different ways, right? Because for me, there is the physical, the emotional, the experience, like the whole thing, the whole package is a trauma. It's not just one single thing. And of course, when you have an accident like this, a lot of your life plans change. Like I was gonna support, I was supposed to get married in 2022, and that had to be pushed away. I had so many other plans, and that all was thrown back to like it was not a priority anymore. Like my only priority was to get better. So yeah, it gives you, when you have something like this, it gives you a big perspective on like how fragile we are, how important our health is, how everything can change in a split second. So how the hell do we allow ourselves to stop at details that like should not matter at all? Like, I don't know, why are my nails not beautiful? Why am I short? Why are my fingers not thick? Like, be grateful for every single thing you have. Be grateful for every nice moment you have. Like, just fuck it. Hug the people you love. Tell them I love you. Enjoy the sun. Enjoy the drop of rain. Enjoy every single thing you can do, because you don't know what can happen in the split of a second. Um, but I'm just mumbling ideas from here and there, right? Um, I wanted to just talk about like how it is for me today, 1 year later, and do a scar reveal. I mean, my close friends already know what my leg looks like, but I've not shown it to everyone out there yet, so it's gonna be a little bit intimidating for me. So yeah, let's start like with what helped me, right? So when I was still on crutches, and why I want to say this, because every single person in the hospital, like everyone who had to do with me, nurses, doctors, neurologists, surgeons, physiotherapists, they all are so impressed with my recovery. Like no one could ever think I could do the things that I'm already doing already this early. And I don't think that's like genetic or anything, or I don't think it's one single thing, but I think a lot of factors helped with that, and one of them is how much effort I put in it. I did not just sit there and wait for the doctors to make me get better, but I did a lot of efforts, a lot of things. Like it was a consuming almost 100 job on daily basis during the months that I didn't work. And then when I started working again, I really had to um, make sure I fit in all of these routines that I do to get better. And it was very tough at times. It still is tough because I can't do everything that I could do before the accident. Maybe I never will, but I'm very, very willing to try at least. So how did I do that? Like when I was not able to walk and I was still on crutches, I was trying to do 20 minutes a day of my physio exercises that they were telling me, like trying to lift my foot, which I was not able to do at all. Now I can do it just a little bit. So yeah, I was doing 20 minutes of like massaging every part that I can, doing the little physio exercises, trying to make sure that my foot is in an upright position. And then I would do in the evening 10 minutes of seated workouts. So I would either sit on a chair or like lie down on the mat and do exercises with my arms. At the beginning, I was not even able to do seated exercises with my legs because it was too painful. Like the any movement for my like knee, although my knee is intact, it was painful because of all of the scar and like the scar tissue, the injuries that this leg sustained inside. So then I started easing into moving my leg a little bit. Like I would just do bicycles. I was trying to do anything I could just to keep that blood flowing.
I wish I could go back in time and tell my very innocent self, younger self, to appreciate everything that it had, every single fucking thing, every single thing, the little things, being able to wake up without pain or fear of things cracking, and having to think every single day of how you're gonna move, how you're gonna stand up out of your bed, how you're gonna have to take your supplements and drink enough and eat enough protein, and and be careful with your steps, and be careful not to trip, be afraid of your own cat, be afraid of doors and people, having to put a cream and take care of your scar and massage your muscles and stretch and do physio every single day. And when you move in bed, when you stretch, it doesn't feel good. It's just a different life. I don't know if it's forever, I don't know if it's temporary, but it's just a different life. It's no one's fault. It's just destiny. It's how it's supposed to be. I have to be grateful because I'm still here. I'm still exist. I still have my leg after all. I can still hope for recovery and doing at least most of the things that I used to do, and have a normal life, and enjoy things, and have kids, and travel, and hike, maybe run. But yeah, I'm just tired of repeating myself, and I don't want to repeat myself. I go out there, I do things, I buy ice cream, I sit by the lake, I even try and walk and do things, trying to feel like a normal being, but I'm not. I'm not. Not yet, at least not yet. I still don't see the light at the end of the tunnel. I still don't see it, but talking with people who've had similar injury, sometimes even worse, help me realize there has to be a light at the end of the tunnel. I can feel it, but I don't. I
Little
just don't.
goals, and I was doing check marks every 2 weeks of what I can do. Like I was literally my own physiotherapist. Like I knew, for example, that I couldn't extend my leg. I knew I couldn't flex my leg in a specific position. I was measuring by my own self all of the little things that I could and could not do, and I was trying to check on a 2 weekly, like a bi-weekly basis, how far I've come. And most of these things only get better through pain. Like it was sometimes so painful to try and do uh, these things over and over. It still is, but that's only how I got better. So then, as soon as I started walking, like trying to get better is really tough because there are normal things that you can't do anymore. There are mobility that you lost. There is the muscle that is fully gone, and it affects everything. It's not just the calf. Literally, like my glute was not able to hold me still. My bum looked different. Like it was literally asymmetrical. It's crazy like how our bodies change, but it's also so impressive how you can make your body get better. It's just put in the work and it will give you, really. So what I also was doing for my nerve is that I have this machine like to stimulate it, and I was trying to do that at first every day, and then twice a week, and then once a week for my nerve. And then I bought you guys, I didn't have any of these things before the accident. Like everything I have now is post accident. So I bought I was buying I want to mention that I was writing a lot during my accident. I was journaling, and I even bought a manifestation journal because I really like to write positive things. So I bought little how do I call this, like little weights, dumbbells, because I wanted to like train harder and make sure the blood flows. I bought something like ankle weights because I could not stand, and I tried to do some exercises, but at the beginning I think it took me at least 5 months to be able to use this on my right leg because it was too painful. There are so many things I still can't do, but everything I did really helped me. So I also bought a band. So when I was sitting, I would just like do these exercises. I was trying to exercise my glutes while seated. I got a band to like try and force my ankle to move. I've got a bunch of these things, like for example these yoga blocks. I bought them for my ankle mobility, which is that's the one thing that I struggle the most with. I'm gonna quickly give a feedback on my status today, but yeah, anyway. There are a few things that also helped me. I think helped me. I tried, you guys, I tried 1,000 things. Like I was literally buying different creams, different oils to massage my scar and so on, but I'm only showing the things that I really think helped me. So I started taking collagen peptides. I also was taking calcium for the first 6 months, and then I'm taking some bromelain because this apparently helps with swelling, with the scar tissue, and then I was also taking vitamins to make sure my body has enough because it needed more than a normal person. And then I also have a scar gel with I don't know how to say it, allantoin, and it's really soothing. And then at some point I was using a lot of hydration cream for both my scars because they would go so dry, and the drier they are, the more painful they are, right? So let's talk about how I'm doing today. So I have 3 major things related to my accident, right? The first one is the bone, the second one is the scar tissue. It's not just the scar that you see, but it's also the damage that is inside my muscles. And the third point is the nerve, right? So when it comes to the bone, my bone is finally fully healed as of January 10, which was my final x-ray, and where we saw that it's finally healed, and it even grew a bump on the biggest fracture side, which makes it look uneven. Like I will show you later, but you can literally see this bump on my leg, but at least it's healed. So bone wise, I am clear to do anything that I want to do. And then when it comes to the muscle and the scar tissue, this is a very tough one for me because there is not a single movement that I can do without feeling that it's different, you know? Like, I'm grateful to have my left leg, which is the healthy one, because I can still know what normal movement means, because the right one is still, it is always feeling stiffer, right? But it's, I promise you, it gets better. It just doesn't get better over days, not even weeks. I think it'll take me years to maybe get close, like, I don't know, 90% of what my left leg could do. But it's still something. It still does not prohibit me from doing most of the daily activities, if not all of them. Like, what I struggle, what I can do, for example, today, is that um, yeah, I'm able to flex my knee. I'm able to fully extend my leg. Those are things that I couldn't do. I'm able to sit on my like chin. There are so many things that I can do, but what I still can't do are small details, like, for example, one leg movement, like one leg squats, for example. It's not a strength issue from my like quad muscles. It's really a mobility issue, both linked to my ankle and to my calf muscle, because it's so tight and painful. Like, I could feel the pain when I touch it, and I think it's coming from there. So anything one-legged is really a challenge for me. Like, I can stand on one leg, I can stand, no problem. I could even do like a lot of these things. It still feels tough, like compared to the left one, I can just like jump and go crazy. With the right one, it's still a little bit challenging. Um, but everything that is high intensity on one leg is really, really, really difficult. Like, so what the surgeon told me is that this leg has lost some muscle, so it does not grow back, unfortunately. But if you strengthen the remaining muscle, you should be able to do almost everything that the other leg can do. But surgeons are like that. They cannot promise you something so that you're not disappointed in the end. So they all tell me that there will always be a difference, because it's not a normal leg. It does not look like a normal leg, but it also will never function like a normal leg. But I'm adapting. I'm trying differently, and I think it's already on average, like, it's already a very strong leg. I'm already happy with the things that I can do, you know. So little milestones were that I could finally fit this leg in ski shoes. I did not ski yet. I'm a little bit afraid of that, but I was thinking it's gonna be impossible to even like put them on, because they're usually very tight. And this brings me to the subject of swelling. So one of the issues that I will have for the rest of my life is the swelling, because as I don't have this 15 by 15 scar, it's taken up spots where I lost all of the soft tissue, skin and fat and muscle, or at least part of the muscle, which means that my lymphatic system is fully disrupted. So there is not enough lymphatic veins to carry the swelling, which means this leg will always struggle a little bit. So that's why when I spend uh, long days standing or even sitting or even walking, my leg will tend to swell, and the swelling is actually quite painful. So yeah, that's one minor detail. The other detail is that I am very, very grateful to be able to move my toes. Like, I will try and add, like, post a video of how my toes started moving. It was like a millimeter, you couldn't even see it, and then now I can fully move them. um, this is the right leg and this is the left leg. So you could see that the range of motion is not fully recovered, but it's already better. So thanks to that, I'm not wearing my special aid anymore, which was lifting my ankle, because I could still wear it, but I feel like if I rely on it, my nerve is not gonna recover. That's how I see it. Like, I think with every step that I do, I could feel that it's not recovered. So I could feel that I don't walk like a normal person, but I could also feel that my muscle is trying, you know, like if you just give it the aid, then it's just gonna rely on it. And I want to give my foot all the time it needs to heal. I'm expecting everything, so even if it does not fully heal, I have to accept that, and probably it's gonna affect me for many things. Like I feel sometimes when I walk in on flat in cities and I try to walk fast with people, that's a little bit of a challenge. Like walking downhill could be a little difficult for me, and like a few things like this. But it's really getting better, and I couldn't have imagined how far I've come already. This is my scar. This is my warrior. So I have they put the tibial nail. I have a tibial nail. I told you I'm not structured at all. Like I have a tibial nail inside, and this is where they put it in. You can also see like these little dots. I have 5 of those, and those were when I had the external fixator. I had it for a week until I got the internal one. And then there is this massive scar, which is, I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, that's my scar. Yeah. So basically, yeah, I don't have fat there, so it looks very different than the left one. And yeah. What I want to say, what else do I want to say? Yeah, you could literally see the bump, this bump. This is my bone. I have 2 fracture sites. There is the lower one, which healed much faster, and there is this one, which took some time. It almost took like 9 months. And there is a bump because I have a lot of bone, and now the surgeon wants to give it time to kind of reabsorb and remodel, because if everything happens well, in a year from now I'm gonna have a surgery to take the nail out, but we don't want to risk it, because if the bone is very if the bone didn't go through all of the stages, then it could God forbid break again, so we have to be careful with that. Yeah, what I wanted to say about the scar is that there is no fat under this scar, so you can see like yeah, it's very flat, whereas a normal calf would be a bit more round, and so because of that it kind of attaches to the muscle, and I have like a lot of adhesions in, like for example here you can see that it does not move like any other parts of the skin. You can glide them, and because of that many movements are difficult for me, because it feels like this part of muscle wants to move but it's really attached, glued, and that's really painful. And I told my surgeon about this because sometimes it could be bloody painful. It's almost like someone is trying to rip my skin away. And my surgeon said that whenever I'm gonna decide to take the nail out, he can do a correction and like cut it from the inside to release it. So I'm really hoping for that to help with some of my mobility issues. Like for example, the left leg is so easy to do this. With the right one, I can't even do like half of it. It's just like so, something blocks me here and like everywhere. It feels just a little bit stiff. But yeah, like on the positives, who says 1 year later I could stand on this leg, I could run, I could jump on both legs, and I could do so many things that the surgeons told me I should probably forget. So it's 1 year mark. Happy anniversary to this leg, because yeah, it has sustained a lot of injuries, but I'm very, very, very proud of where I am today. And if you are in a similar journey, if you went through a similar journey, share your story with me. I'm very happy to read that. And it helped me when I was still like in the worst parts of my recovery, to see other people who went through similar things, or sometimes even worse things, and I would really like be very happy to help you if you're going through something similar. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate. I'm not a pro in this thing, so I know like it's just a lot of mumbling, but I really, really hope it helps someone. And yeah, I'll be very happy to help you. Ciao, ciao.